October 12th, 1492. 3 Spanish ships land on an island in the Caribbean. A flag is planted in the sand. The Lucayan people, who have lived here for generations, watch from the tree line. They don't know it, but their world is about to end forever. Tonight, we explore what came next and how the modern world was created. This is the story of colonialism, a transformation so total that we mistake its results for the natural order of things. Yet it turns out the world as it is today was violently assembled in just the last 500 years. How did this happen? How did a handful of European kingdoms redraw the map of the entire planet? And how was a new idea, race, forged into a tool for controlling its people? 500 years ago, the world operated on different terms. It was a mosaic of empires, city-states, and nomadic confederations. Your identity was tied to your clan, your religion, or your king. The idea of belonging to a continent or a race didn't exist. In tonight's episode, we'll trace how the colonial project went from a few coastal forts to a global system of extraction and control. Along the way, we'll see how techniques of rule developed in one colony were exported to another. You'll also meet the people who resisted this new order, discovering how their struggle created the world we inhabit today. Before we begin, please take a moment to like and subscribe. It really helps others discover these explorations of history. And let us know in the comments which topics you'd like us to explore next. So, let's now begin to trace the most extraordinary transformation of humanity in our history. This is the story of how colonialism changed the world forever. Chapter 1. The Conqueror's Blueprint. The plaza spreads out before you, a perfect square of order imposed on conquered earth. It's September in the year 1523, and you're standing in what was once the heart of Tenochtitlan, the great Aztec capital. Now, Spanish boots click across stones that indigenous feet carved with symbols of a different world. Look to your left. The Cabildo rises, its limestone facade still dusty from construction. Government clerks shuffle papers inside, recording who owns what in this new world. Across the plaza, hammers ring against stone as workers raise a cathedral directly over the ruins of the Templo Mayor. Between these two powers sits the court, and just behind it, the jail. This trinity of control, state, church, law, would be stamped across the Americas like a brand on flesh. They called it the Traza, this replicable blueprint for power. From Havana to Cuzco, from Mexico City to Lima, the same pattern emerged. Green plaza, government buildings, cathedral, court, jail. A formula as precise as any mathematical equation, designed to overwrite one civilization with another. For the Inca who watched their sacred sites demolished, This wasn't just architecture. Their world had been mapped by Huacacuna, sacred shrines that charged the landscape with meaning. Pachacamac wasn't merely a place. It was, as they understood it, the place that charges the world with being. Mountains spoke, rocks held ancestors, rivers carried prayers. The Spanish mercenaries saw none of this. Where indigenous peoples found divinity inscribed in hills and burial grounds, the conquistadors found opportunities. Plunder here, a mine there, land to parcel out among themselves. They operated within their own myth, that they had been chosen to bring civility and salvation to those they called savages. Every cathedral they erected on sacred ground was more than a building. It was a ritual of supremacy. Massive stones piled high to reaffirm what they desperately needed to believe, that their conquest was righteous, that their rule was permanent. The precariousness of this myth required constant reinforcement through stone and mortar. The system they imported came straight from the feudal fields of southern Atlantic Europe. Latifundia, those vast landed estates where peasants labored for aristocratic lords. The capitation, a head tax that bound workers to their masters. Strict codes about who could wear what colors, ride which animals, carry what weapons. Every detail designed to make hierarchy visible and permanent. But something new was stirring in this old feudal structure. The word colony itself comes from the Latin colonus, meaning tiller or farmer, rooted in working the earth. Yet these New World ventures pulsed with a different energy. This wasn't just about land anymore. The ocean itself became a commodity. Ships could now recombine the labors of peoples separated by thousands of miles of water. Feudalism was learning to swim. The primary tool of this new exploitation was the encomienda system. The crown would assign entire indigenous communities to individual conquistadors. These encomenderos gained the right to impose head taxes and command the labor of up to 300 indigenous persons each. Bodies became currency. Communities became property. By 1542, the encomienda gave way to the repartimiento, a tribute labor system that sounds almost clinical in its efficiency. Indigenous peoples were dispossessed of their lands and forced to work without pay for fixed periods. The Spanish introduced mandatory costumes to track the population, making surveillance as simple as spotting the wrong cloth in the wrong place. The evolution continued. By the 1550s, the hacienda system emerged, foreshadowing the industrial plantation. Workers were forcibly relocated onto land enclaves where they could be bought, sold, and confined. By the 1600s, ships arrived bearing kidnapped Africans to join this machinery of extraction. All of this theft was justified through a European legal concept called inventio, discovery. Simply by intending to settle and cultivate land, colonizers could claim title to it. The combination was toxic. Hunger for land, feudal license, patriarchal control, state intervention. Together they generated a noxious mix of colonial violence that would reshape continents. This vast blueprint for conquest was never an end in itself. It was an engine designed with precision for a single purpose. Deep in the mountains of Bolivia and Mexico, in veins of silver that ran like frozen lightning through rock, lay the fuel that would power a global empire. The plaza, the cathedral, the courts, all of it was prologue to what came next. Good evening, friend. Sorry to interrupt. This is Charles, the creator of History After Dark. If you're enjoying this exploration, I'm glad. I'm incredibly passionate about making these histories accessible. As you've probably noticed,